must say, ladies and gentlemen, that this is a very emotional moment for me. I knew Chacha very well, and he treated me like his son. Today you have all invited me to speak on his good attributes. I feel very privileged, honored. With the protocol observed, Mrs. Jowri, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tertiary Education, Science and Research, and Chairperson of the OU Board. Mrs. Subhashini Gopi, Officer in Charge of the Open University, Vice Chancellors, Director General, CEOs of public universities, Directors of parastatal bodies, Heads of divisions, Deputy Directors, Registrars and staff of the Open University of Mauritius. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm afternoon to all of you. I wish firstly to express my warmest thanks to Mrs. Subhashini Gopi, the officer in charge of the Open University of Mauritius, for her very cordial invitation to the celebration of 125th birth anniversary of Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam. It is an equally opportunity to thank Mrs. Subhashini Gopi for her gentle request to give a memorial lecture on this very auspicious occasion to honor an enduring legacy of an illustrious and legendary person in the name of Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam, the father of our nation, Mauritius. In the same vein, please allow me to thank Mr. Joy Bisun, Mrs. Savita Boabul, and Mr. Dayanand Duki for their valued assistance in the preparation of this memorial lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, today I feel extremely privileged and immensely honored to speak on the special attributes of Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam, whom I knew as a public figure and personally as Chacha Ramgoolam, a very close friend of my father, Mr. Sigulam Torul. Ladies and gentlemen, I have chosen the title of the memorial lecture after exhaustive and extensive deliberation. The title is Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam, the revered father of our nation, Mauritius. Honestly, I had very great difficulties while preparing the memorial lecture in choosing the most relevant facts in concise form to be as much informative as possible for this very august audience. Volumes have been written and spoken about Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam, but I have to respect the time allocated to me. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I shall speak only on some of his very valuable and special attributes that made him to be known as the revered father of our nation. Celebrating the 125th anniversary of the birth of Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam, no better homage can be paid to our most endearing Chacha, the father of our nation and an illustrious son of Mauritius, than to retrace his exemplary life and exceptional endeavor to establish a supreme level of governance for our young generation. His well-conceived plan to spearhead freedom of Mauritius and establish human dignity through long and arduous but illuminated by the saga of Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam to uplift the plight of the oppressed from the yoke of colonial domination. Ladies and gentlemen, at the very outset, allow me to ask a very pertinent question. Why do we call Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam as the father of our nation? It's a point of reflection. It's a point of thinking. There'll be a lot of questions that come into our mind. Maybe some would say that, look, we know him maybe very vaguely. Some would say that I read from books, I've read from people, or I've heard from people. But honestly, when you go deeper into the reflection, there's much more to that. The answer has been given by somebody, a very wise philosopher, Seneca, centuries ago. What did he say? Great architects of venerable thoughts were born for us and have designed a way of life for us. These discerning words of Seneca appropriately describe befittingly the illustrious and legendary influence that the revered father of our nation, because he demonstrated unequivocally the following attributes. Number one, he was the visionary architect whose political life was explicitly defined by a single purposeful aim, that is, to secure independence of our country with dignity. Number two, he had venerable thoughts born out of a strong moral character and innate ethical values. Number three, he systematically designed a meaningful way of life for our nation. Number four, he achieved independence, both independence and greatness, both nationally and internationally, through his selfless service to the humanity. Number five, he left for us a powerful legacy that has inspired emulation by the future generation. I'll start with elaborating on each of the points that I have already mentioned. Number one is Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam, a visionary architect to secure independence for Mauritius with dignity. There is a common saying that we all know. In order to make something happen, there must be a dream. Sir Seewoosagur was a great visionary who dreamt of bringing belief to the people of certain important items, such as when they were in chains, shackled by colonial inequality and systematic neglect of the working class, mostly the descendants of slaves and indentured laborers. The dream, ladies and gentlemen, was consolidated further by a deeply emotional incident in his life at a very young age, which strengthened his determination to study medicine and to show empathy towards the poor and helpless people. The story goes as follows. One day, young Seewoosagur met an old woman who was looking thin and broken with disease, and her face wet with tears. Looking at the state of the old woman, his compassion for her grew beyond limit and his heart melted. So he approached her and asked her gently, as if looking at his own mother, who passed away just very few years ago. He said, "Mother, why are you crying? Tell me, please, what has made you to cry?" She looked at him in surprise, saying in a very soft, timid voice, "There is nothing you can do, Babu." The word Babu is an endearing word that we often use in the village to speak to young children. She continued, "This is our fate. We are poor people. We have suffered all our lives. The white Sahib doctors have called me by many insolent names. Where can I go now? All the Sahib doctors are the same. They do not understand our language nor our sufferings. We have to put up with this humiliation until we die. Her entreating voice asked a very poignant question. It was, "Babu, tell me one thing. Is there any doctor among our Hindu people who can treat on an old woman like me?" This was the turning point in young Seewoosagar's innocent life. The vision to study medicine so as to help ease the pain and sufferings of the poor illiterate laborers began to take a tangible shape. He nurtured the dream that he would govern the country one day to stamp out human misery. Whenever he saw the laborers, men, women, and children working in the cane fields, he felt a great pity for them. It was this compassion for the poor and neglected people that jogged his mind to go abroad and study medicine. He worked very hard, studying not only medicine, but also about human society and politics so as to take the helm of governing the country. Becoming a medical doctor in London University was not merely academic. It was a treatment, a testament of his own relentless ambition and foreshadowing of his visionary mission to heal the nation's economic, social, and political ills. The indelible memory of the old woman was constantly a reminder of his plight of the poor. He once said, "Our generation have lived in difficult circumstances. They had no weapons with which to fight for their rights. They suffered great deal. They let their frail bodies languish, but they kept their bodies high." On his return to Mauritius in 1935, Sir Seewoosagur, a qualified medical practitioner, was still inspired by his firm conviction to serve the needy and the downtrodden people. At the same time, he was still driven by his compelling vision to free Mauritius. Between the year 1935 and 1947, he began his campaign creating an awareness in the working classes to press for social services in favor of the poor, to bring together the laborers and the artisans in industrial associations, and to campaign for universal adult suffrage and fundamental rights of the people. He founded a newspaper called Advance, in which he made plea for democracy, socialism, human rights, and constitutional reform. Ladies and gentlemen, to establish a just society in Mauritius, he said in 1935, well before independence, "It is our duty to enunciate a clear and defined principle of farsightedness for our people and make up our minds to put an end to social cruelties rampant in our society and conceive of a life as something not our own, but a trust dedicated to the good of our community." These ideas and active movements soon swept over the island and awakened the people to call for freedom, independence, and progress for the proletariat. Therefore, to give birth to the state called Mauritius with a status and the identity, Seewoosagur was from the corridors of Port Louis Municipal Council as mayor to the colonial office in London. He carried with him the dreams of a nation yearning to be free. He had already lit the flames of independence. He built into himself the quality of a strong determination to free Mauritius from the colonial rule. Ladies and gentlemen, to that generation in Mauritius, Sir Seewoosagur will ever remain the revered father of our nation, Mauritius. Just like a father, he was the visionary architect. He created the Mauritian family and led the family to the shores of peace, freedom, human dignity, and respect for human rights. He is indeed a visionary architect of the present-day Mauritius. He just did not build a state, but gave the nation a vibrant soul. As a visionary, he firmly understood that true freedom for Mauritius meant more than just a quadricolor flag. It meant a sovereign democratic constitution that enshrined fundamental rights and freedom of the Mauritian citizens, that ensured a society with equal opportunity to all to live a secured life. The next topic that I'm going to deal with is Sir Seewoosagur possessed venerable thoughts born out of strong moral character and innate ethical values. In the normal process of nurturing a child, the father bequeaths moral character and strengthened values, ethical values, so as to build trustworthiness by keeping promises and strive to be honest, reliable, and principled. Sir Seewoosagur exemplified through his action as the father of our nation to lead his people with an unequivocal sense of direction, to transform their mindset and be more prone to good behavior in their daily lives. As President Theodore Roosevelt once said, character in the long run is the decisive factor in the life of an individual and of a virtuous nation. Philosopher Heraclitus similarly stated 2,000 years ago, a man's character is his destiny. The question now is, how did Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam become an epitome of moral character and strong ethical values? The nurturing part of his character to have the courage to have the right thing and to treat people with respect, civility, and courtesy began at the very early age on the serene and peaceful village of Bellerive, a perfect natural environment that inspired him to live a life of simplicity, modesty, and tolerance. Most importantly, his grooming of building a noble character was initiated by his father, Mohit Ramgoolam, who strongly believed in cultural values and simple lifestyle. He placed greater emphasis on the inner spiritual realities that laid long a firm foundation to young Seewoosagar's character, which would later define the meaningful journey of his son to the wider world. Mohit Ramgoolam gave him the precious legacy of ancestral values, kindness, compassion, tolerance, hard work, and respect, which became the hallmark of our Mauritian culture. The formation stage of Sir Seewoosagur character building as a young person was inspired by Hindu scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, and adopted those principled religious values and ethics that he felt was morally right. His early schooling in the Baitka, a local evening school, imbibed in him with the ideals of morality, knowledge, and courage to deal a principled life. Along with these cultural inculcations, he took admission at L'Étoile Roman Catholic Aided School, where he learned English, French, history, arithmetic, and geography. He created for himself a dual identity rooted in the Indian tradition that is of an authentic aura of spirituality, combining with Western education, which opened his door to the wider world. Another fundamental determinant factor that contributed to the formation of his character in the strong mission to be a dynamic reformer and a compassionate humanist. His experiences of dire poverty and his proximity with the miserable people working in the inhuman conditions dawned on him the resolute spirit of dedicating himself to a greater purpose, a noble cause, a worthy endeavor that transcended the boundaries of narrow self-interest. This was a genuine pledge to himself to be the instrument of material and spiritual change to the population of Mauritius. This flowed from his character, which is foundational. He developed the instinct to serve the downtrodden and the courage to do the right thing. From his humble beginnings at Bellerive, his character developed into a robust transformative power to make far-reaching changes in our political, social, and economic lives. Sir Seewoosagur made a deliberate choice to work on his character rather than concerned with portraying an image. He had a comprehensive understanding that character is the foundation of success, nurture good habits that are vital and necessarily need to be integrated into our daily lives. He elevated his character based on the philosophy espoused by Mahatma Gandhi, who said, "All your scholarship, all your study of Shakespeare and Wordsworth would be in vain if at the same time you do not build your character and attain mastery over your thoughts and your action." These resounding words, Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam emulated unconditionally, and as the father of our nation, developed our character to serve our country as true patriots. On 12th March 1968, he said, "My wish today is that of all the true patriots who believe in the future of Mauritius, let us all work together, for the country belongs to all of us, and let us contribute our share in the building of a strong, free, and happy Mauritius." My next topic is Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam, how he systematically designed a meaningful way of life for our nation. There is a common factor in the lives of great people. They hold immense power to influence and impact on the lives of people. Only through years of patience, practice, and perseverance, they earn laurels and greatness in the eyes of whom they want to serve. Great people like Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi has become Mahatma Gandhi, and Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam became the father of our nation. These are not mere coincidences. These legendary figures and many others who have crossed paths in our lives are role models, guides, and mentors who have played a crucial role in our mental and spiritual growth and development. They are the vivid reminders of what greatness means. They have taught us that we can be bigger, larger, and better than we currently are. Finally, they became the ideal monuments as a matter of popular acceptance by everyone. Sir Seewoosagur translated the ideas of parliamentary democracy into freedom for his people so as to design a meaningful way of life for all people. His policies laid the foundational pillars of modern Mauritius. He introduced free education from the primary school to university, ensuring that the light of knowledge reaches every child. His program of work included decent housing, electricity, and running water that could be accessible to all. He created a new labor jurisprudence by enacting Industrial Relations Act 1973 and the Labor Act of 1975, by which workers could enjoy equitable wages, health care benefits, paid leave, and negotiate for better living conditions through good faith collective bargaining. His social security initiatives created a safety net that protected the vulnerable workers and improved their way of life. These bold initiatives of Sir Seewoosagur were not simply politically motivated, but moral imperatives that design a meaningful way of life for the people of Mauritius. The next topic is Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam achieved greatness both nationally and internationally through his selfless service to humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking on the greatness of Chacha Ramgoolam, his service to humanity stands out voluminously. It reminds me at this point the discerning words of Shakespeare in Twelfth Night. He said, "Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some greatness is thrust upon them." Chacha Ramgoolam was neither born great, nor greatness was thrust upon him. He achieved greatness through service to humanity. He had a deep-seated yearning to help people, illiterate, indentured laborers, both mentally and emotionally, with a profound sense of humility. As John Steinbeck has said, it is the nature of man to rise to greatness, and Chacha rose to greatness. He indeed rose to the greatness, and his triumph was completed when he liberated the oppressed, established universal suffrage, championed workers' rights, and brought economic reforms. Sir Seewoosagur achieved greatness as a visionary architect who systematically designed a future of Mauritius as an independent sovereign state recognized under the international law. He said in October 1974, "I don't want to live in isolation. My policy has been long before independence to put Mauritius on the world map, to make Mauritius prosperous, sustain its economy, and be able to stand on its own legs." The greatness of Sir Seewoosagur is that he had the intuitive understanding of the problem and challenges that besieged development and growth of Mauritius. His political life was precisely defined by a simple, powerful vision to secure the independence of Mauritius with dignity. On 12th March 1977, he said, "Indeed, Mauritius deserve the best they shall have, and always. The best roads, best schools, and institutes of learning and hospitals. Indeed, the best of anything which makes life of a common man more enjoyable and worthwhile." His powerful leadership in the years that followed forged a fragile multicultural society with no natural resources except a monocrop economy into a revolutionized modern Mauritius. His visionary policies laid the foundational pillars of an advanced developing state of Mauritius. Such a magnanimous person with a heart deserves to be called the revered father of our nation. My next topic is Sir Seewoosagur left for us a powerful legacy that inspired emulation by the future generation. Sir Seewoosagur life journey from the humble beginning in Bellerive is a vibrant testimony of a saga of self-discovery, maturity, and learning. His life is a roadmap for the future generations to emulate and to take vital lessons which are timeless and universal. His ideals, principles became the complete and comprehensive, thorough interaction with diverse people. His interaction with diverse people who made him more humane over the years. For our nation, Sir Seewoosagur was the first Prime Minister of Mauritius and our founding father, who, though serene in nature, was a determined leader. He navigated through the turbulent seas of intense negotiation with the colonial office at Lancaster House, London, and bequeathed to us a free and independent Mauritius, which we call our home. This tribute today, ladies and gentlemen, is not just a political figure. It is also a monument to reflect upon the legacy of a man whose vision of unity and welfare transformed a colony into a paradise island. Sir Seewoosagur was very close to George Bernard Shaw, the playwright and poet of England, who was a strong supporter of the Fabian Society, a group that promoted gradual rather than revolutionary social reform. The visionary words of George Bernard Shaw are convincingly applicable to the life and legacy that Sir Seewoosagur has left for our future generation. He said, "Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have got a hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing on to the future generation." The torch of political leadership, led by Sir Seewoosagur, is still continuing to burn as brightly as possible through his lineage. His son, Dr. Navin Ramgoolam, our present Prime Minister, has ensured us through his action it is much allowed that his father's principles, the values, and will be firmly endure through generations to come. His valuable contributions to the upliftment of a growing nation, his compassion towards the needy, in my view, should not be just remembered on his birthday anniversary. We must all faithfully live by his exemplary character and behavior. While thinking beyond, we must become like him and transform our civic life. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, honoring Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam as the revered father of our nation should not simply rest as a tribute to his legendary figure. It should be more than a ceremony. Let this moment be termed as a covenant, an agreement, a sacred promise to preserve the values for which he fought. It is the appropriate time to rededicate ourselves to the principles of unity, justice, and compassion that he vehemently championed. Let his soft footsteps of his walk across the island be remembered, be reverberating, that will continuously be a reminder of his presence within us. Sir Seewoosagur Ramgoolam, your spirit and your legacy are still alive in our institutions and in our heart of every citizen who cherishes the dream of a united and prosperous Mauritius. So, Chacha Ramgoolam, you'll be always remain our revered father of our nation. Bless you wherever you are. Thank you.